Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're digging into something that drives so many traders crazy. Why is it that you can have a killer strategy, but your results are still all over the place? Well, we're going to break down a powerful system from Jared Tendler that gets to the heart of the mental game.
So, let's just jump right in with a question that, I bet a lot of you have asked yourselves, maybe after a particularly rough day in the markets. You've got a trading edge, right? A system you believe in, but you're still struggling with those inconsistent results. Sound familiar?
And if that does sound familiar, listen, the answer probably isn't in another indicator or tweaking your strategy again. See, trading really has two sides to it. On one hand, you've got your technical skill. That's all the stuff you know, your rules, your system, your edge. But on the other side, you've got the mental game. And that's all about how you actually execute when the pressure is on. I mean, you probably put in thousands of hours on the technical side, right? But the real key, the thing that unlocks your profitability, that's almost always on the other side of the coin, your mental game.
Okay, so let's dig into this. What is the real problem here? Because it's not what most people think it is.
Think about it. When things go south, what's the first thing we do? We double down on what we know. We analyze our trades, we tighten up our rules, we do even more research. But those costly, painful errors, they just keep on coming. It's this maddening cycle, and it happens because we're focusing all our energy on solving the wrong problem.
All right, so if the problem isn't technical, then what is it? Well, this is where we need to make a really big shift in how we think. It's about looking at the very thing most traders consider their biggest enemy, their emotions.
And this is where we completely flip the script on conventional trading wisdom. You know the myth, right? Emotions are the enemy. You got to control them, eliminate them, be a robot. But the reality is so much more powerful. Emotions aren't the enemy at all. They're signals. They're not the problem. They're just data. So the goal isn't to crush them, is to learn how to read them and understand what they're telling you.
So the key idea here is that emotions give us data on how we're operating, at a deep unconscious level. They are literally pointing to the flaws in our performance. I love this analogy. Think of fear or greed or tilt. It's just like the check engine light in your car. Is the light the problem? No, of course not. The light is just an alert, a signal telling you there's a problem under the hood that you need to go and fix.
Okay, so if emotions are data, how do we actually start analyzing it? Where do you even begin? Well, you start by giving it some structure, and that means understanding your different performance levels.
And this framework is brilliant. It breaks your performance down into 3 basic levels. You've got your A game. That's when you're in the zone, you're focused, you're stable. Any mistakes you make here are probably just technical. You're learning something new. But then there's your C game. And that's when emotion completely hijacks your brain. Your mind just malfunctions. These are the really costly errors. The ones that make you slam your desk and go, I knew better.
And this is such a critical insight. The goal isn't just to try and force more A-game days. That's kind of like trying to escape gravity by just jumping higher. It's not going to work. You can't escape the pull of your C game by just pretending it doesn't exist and focusing on your best days. You have to turn around and face it head on.
So how do you actually improve then? Well, the system uses this great little metaphor, the inchworm. Imagine how an inchworm moves. It pulls its back end up first. So you start by fixing the flaws that are causing your C game. That's you, pulling up the back end of the inchworm. And when you do that, guess what? Your entire performance range, the whole inchworm, scoots forward. And suddenly, a whole new, higher-level A game becomes possible for you.
All right, we get the problem, we know the goal. So now for the big question. What's the actual how-to? We need a system for resolution.
And this is about going way beyond those temporary fixes, like just gritting your teeth and telling yourself, be more disciplined. That doesn't work long-term. Because as the saying goes, you can't kill a weed unless you get the roots out. Just stomping on it, that's only going to work for a little while. This is about grabbing a shovel, digging deep, and pulling those suckers out for good.
And the system itself is actually beautifully simple. It's a really powerful 3-step process. Step 1, map. You map out the entire pattern of your emotional mistake in detail. Step 2, identify. You dig in and find the underlying flaw, the real root cause. And then, step 3, correct. You create and then consistently apply a strategic correction to fix the problem at its source.
Now, the key tool for that second step, for identifying the flaw,
is this thing called the mental hand history. And I want you to think of it like an X-ray for your mind. It's a structured way to really dig into the flawed logic that makes these crazy emotional reactions seem totally logical and reasonable to you in the heat of the moment.
Okay, I know this can feel like a lot to take in at once, so let's just dial it back and focus on the single most important first step. The one thing you can start doing, like, today.
And that first step is all about mapping your pattern. The way to think about this is like you're creating an internal GPS for your mind. I mean, you can't fix a problem if you don't see it coming, right? So mapping is what builds that awareness. It's the alert system that beeps at you when you've taken a wrong turn emotionally, so you have a chance to make a U-turn before you drive your account off a cliff.
So how do you actually start your map? It's simple. You become a detective of your own behavior. Start asking yourself these kinds of questions. And this is the important part: write the answers down, but without any judgment. Just be an observer. What kind of situations trigger these strong emotions? What are the very first thoughts and feelings that pop into your head? How does your decision-making start to change? Do you start chasing trades, moving your stops? What are the obvious mistakes that you keep repeating? And even, how does your body react? Do you feel your chest tighten or find yourself gripping the mouse? Just gather the clues, that's it.
So when it all comes down to it, the big takeaway here is this: the key to unlocking your real trading potential. It isn't hiding in another chart pattern or some magic indicator, no. It's in the data that your own emotions are handing you for free every single day. Your C game, all those frustrating moments, they're trying to tell you something incredibly important. And so the real question isn't about finding a new strategy. The real question is, are you ready to finally listen?